I know my viewers are wondering, did you get to wear your Irish fisherman sweater?
Love that sweater. Love that sweater. I opened that box, I was stunned. So thank you. My wife was like, oh my God. Right? I mean, that thing, I literally could put that on, put on a cap, and just like blend in.
That was the whole purpose.
And like, I looked the part, man. It was great. Love it. Still have, I mean, I've still got it. It's perfect. Thank you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. For everyone listening who doesn't know what I'm referring to, when Joe got the role of ambassador or special envoy to Ireland during the Biden administration, we gifted him an Irish fisherman sweater because we wanted him to blend in, to look the part of special envoy. So there you go. Welcome to Meeting Maggie, where we value each person's authenticity, whether it be over Starbucks or stargazing, and from fandom to fanfare. Season 2 of Meeting Maggie is all about the secret sauce of life. And as we discuss, they meet me, Maggie McGregor. Hey everybody, we are here on another episode of Meeting Maggie with the one and only Joe Kennedy III. I'm so excited to have you here, Joe. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you so much for having me, Maggie. It's great to see you again.
It's great to see you. Joe, last time we talked, you so graciously did a recording on the first season of my podcast. It was around St. Patrick's Day, and I asked you your Starbucks order, but it was very specifically tailored to the impeachment proceedings. So I was wondering if there's a less extreme order you're doing these days.
Probably not. I mean, my kids are still relatively young. We have a puppy, so my mornings start way earlier than I would like. So it's I normally have a couple cups of coffee, and then I have, after the couple cups of coffee, have a triple shot latte or cappuccino, and then multiple cups of coffee over the course of the day. I am hopelessly addicted to caffeine, which is too bad. But
you're just running on Dunkin', like the rest of America.
I am running on a lot of Dunkin', But it could be worse, right? Could be worse. So.
Yeah. So you have a new role. Well, it's not new to you, but can you tell us what a day is like in the life of Joe Kennedy?
Yeah, I mean, I get up probably about 5:15 or so, curse my existence for a solid 10 minutes in bed. Roll out of bed, try to get the puppy out. We have a 5-month-old Australian Shepherd.
Wow.
Yeah, which, is its own thing. We don't have any sheep. We have no ranch, just in case you were wondering. So what this dog does is, I think my wife thought I needed more exercise. So take the dog we got a mile-long loop around our neighborhood, take the dog for a loop, try to come back in, get a little bit of exercise, get the kids up. They're still little enough where I have the dog wake them up every morning, so I come on in and have to drop the dog down on their bed. The dog then goes nuts, wakes them up, means they yell at the dog rather than yelling at me, which is fine with me. Make them breakfast, get them out the door. My wife and I drop them off school or camp. Go off to work. That normally goes to kind of 6-ish or so. Come back, do the dinner and such with kids. If we don't have a work dinner or something else I have to do, and my wife runs her own organization, so oftentimes one of us is juggling. She's got a work dinner she's got to be at tonight, so I'll be home. Try to get the kids to bed. They're 9 and 7. They are pretty good about not going to bed, so that's a fight that lasts about an hour. Try to get them finally asleep by 9:30. These days, anyway, it's summer, so they basically eat only ice cream and they never sleep. Raised by wolves.
As they should.
Feral children, right? I don't know who did this, but someone would point out Dad, which, and then probably turn back to work for another hour or so, and then fall in bed absolutely exhausted and rinse, repeat, right?
Sounds like a parent. Sounds like an American parent.
Still too much time on airplanes. On the road still quite a bit. Not on the road as often as I used to be over to Ireland, Northern Ireland. I was over there a couple weeks ago though, but still on the road a lot. So hoping for on-time arrivals and on-time departures. But other than that, life is probably pretty similar to a lot of other parents out there. Not enough sleep, too much activity, and crazy but lovely kids.
Yeah. So for your role, you've always been closely involved with your kids and your family, but being home with them, do you have an evolved fashion sense?
No.
Because last time we spoke, you had your answer was you had no fashion sense at all.
That hasn't changed.
Okay. Fair.
As far as I'm concerned, there's like two shirts. One is blue and one is white. There's like two sets of trousers. There's either a suit, which is varying shades of navy to midnight blue, a couple of charcoal gray ones, and that's about it. That's pretty much what I got. No one has ever accused me of being up on fashion trends.
Yeah.
And I don't think you are either. So,
No, but you always look great. You always look the part.
I appreciate the lie. So thank you very, very much. Makes me feel good. But hey. Fashion has never been something I've been accused of. Choosing a lot of things. That's not one.
So, how have you enjoyed your time in Ireland? I know you spent a massive amount of time there during the Biden administration. How did you like your time there?
Maggie, I loved it. Right? I mean, listen, this place as well as I do. It's Northern Ireland. The island of Ireland is a very special place, north and south, and the Republic of Ireland, so southern part of the island, has had an economic boom over the course of the past 25 years that is probably unrivaled by any other country in the world. Extraordinary success from an Ireland when I was a kid that still had a fair amount of real poverty, to one today that is, I think, the third highest per capita GDP in the world. Which is not to say there aren't people still in need in Ireland, but obviously there's been a massive transformation in the Irish economy. Northern Ireland, I think, has an enormous success story to tell. Oftentimes the narrative there gets focused on some of the legacy challenges that remain from the Troubles and from the challenges of government funding coming from the United Kingdom. And those are true. I'm not trying to paper over those. But when you think of where Northern Ireland economy was 30 years ago to where it is today, Northern Ireland and Ireland, we're not starting from the same starting point.
Mm-hmm.
And Northern Ireland today, it's got the lowest unemployment rate in the entire UK.
Really?
The entire UK. You got 1,500 international companies doing business in Northern Ireland. So yeah, their unemployment rate is it's about 1.6%, right? So, that's a pretty good number. There's other challenges there. Productivity rates are still low. There's challenges with the healthcare sector. They need more foreign direct investment. All of that part's true.
Mm-hmm.
It is also true that they've made enormous strides, and they deserve to get credit for the strides that they made while they take on those persistent challenges.
That's great to hear. I know my viewers are wondering, did you get to wear your Irish fisherman sweater?
Love that sweater. Love that sweater. I opened that box. I was stunned. So thank you. My wife was like, "Oh my God!" I mean, that thing. I literally could put that on, put on a cap, and just like blend in.
That was the whole purpose.
And like I looked apart, man. It was great. Love it. I've still got it. It is like, it's perfect. Thank you.
Well, yeah, absolutely. For everyone listening who doesn't know what I'm referring to, when Joe got the role of ambassador or special envoy to Ireland during the Biden administration, we gifted him an Irish fisherman sweater because we wanted him to blend in, to look the part of special envoy. So there you go.
It was great.
I was wondering, your kids are, since you left Congress, the House, your children are a little bit older. Do they realize like the gravitas of the speech you made, the incredible, like, moving speech you made to them in the House? Bridget Malloy Kozarowski, Pennsylvania State Representative from the 114th District, sponsors today's podcast with Congressman Joe Kennedy III. House.
No.
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 They'll replay it one day.
Yeah, maybe. You're kind to even remember that, goodness.
No, that was
No,
amazing.
they're 9 and 7. They're like, what have you done for me lately, Dad? And, the good news is, like, they're kids. They got plenty of problems. You can solve most of them with ice cream, and what you can't solve with ice cream, you can solve at the moment with gibbets for their Crocs or Lego sets, right? And so, like, that works. But the moment, I was dropping them off at camp this morning, and I said, what are you guys going to do today? And they said, we're not telling. We don't know. How do you know? Okay, fair. Here's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to look at a computer screen. I'm going to talk on the phone. How about we trade? And they're like, no, we don't want to do that, and we don't care what you do. It's boring. So I was like, all right. We got called out by a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old by 8 a.m.
No, but that sounds about right. Like for a 7 and 8-year-old.
Yeah, so that's like kind of where we're at. So no, the 9-year-old girl she's 9 going on 17. Our 7-year-old's like 7.
I have a niece like that. She's 8 going on 30,
Yeah,
I think.
exactly.
Yeah.
She picks up on stuff, we'll be in public and get stopped. She say, how do you know that person? And I'm like, I don't, right? And so she'll pick up on stuff of just being like, why do people know you? And we took a walk last night to walk the dog, and she said, why is everybody always up in your business? The little guy is like somewhat oblivious to it, or at least seems at this point. So, they had an incredible time in Ireland when I took them over there last summer. One of the best trips we probably ever did and went out.
Oh, that's amazing.
Best, right? Just absolutely the best. They're excited to go back. It was one of the challenges of being back and forth in that role was every time I went, I get like screaming, crying fits because they wanted to come. I go other places and they certainly don't put up that big a fight. So they're like, but out there, yes, they wanted to come.
So I think it's like needless to say that this year we've all needed a lot of coping skills dealing with just current events. And without delving into anything political, are there any coping skills that you use in your daily stressful life?
Yeah, Maggie, I think probably like any parent can tell you, like the best coping, I can't say the best because it's not always, it opens doors to plenty of other stress, but kids are a pretty good one, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't, mine anyway, they couldn't care about any of the other stuff, right? Like when they're home, they just want to be a dad.
Yeah.
And they still want to be with dad, so like that's fun. And like the other stuff doesn't matter. So they can be relentless in their own, ways of they never listen and don't go to bed and all the rest of this stuff and, extort me for more ice cream every night and all the rest of it, which they're good at. So it can be exhausting and all the rest of it, but like it is a very nice change of reality to go from, the navigation of running a business in this environment, or trying to work on ways to try to build a community and strengthen democracy, to then just going back to like the nuts and bolts of like, hey, James got a bigger slice of French toast than I did. How can you tell, right? Like he got an ounce more, he got like a half second more syrup on the pour than I did. But like it pulls you out of whatever other things you're dealing with and puts you back on literally what's the most important thing in the world, which is like I'm raising them. And so having that is, again, as any parent will tell you, it's a grounding force because there's a relentlessness to it. But it is a welcome kind of centering of reality that, and my kids, they say it all the time. They don't interpret it the same way I do, where I say, hey, look, good night, I gotta go do something else. And they say, I don't care. Right? This time you gotta spend with me. And like, get frustrating times because I got a long list of stuff that you need to do at night and that they have gotten through. But like, they don't care. They just want to be with them. And like, I also know that at some point you're gonna look back on that and say, gosh, I wish I didn't fight them over that.
Yeah, yeah. I've been extremely open with you about my mental health journey, and I just wanted to share something with you. 4 years ago, I started as ketamine treatment, a form of ketamine treatment for my disease. And I made the decision to stop drinking. And I was worried because, like, at the age that I'm at, there's still a lot of pressure. And I just kind of thought, if Joe Kennedy can make this look cool and Joe Biden can make this look cool, I can make it look cool too. I can do this. So, yeah, I never really enjoyed alcohol. It was just kind of a social thing. But I want you to know I really looked to you and, looked to you as an example.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you. Yeah, as you know, I never really drank. I still don't. I would, on occasion, be forced to sample some of Ireland's finest whiskey when I was over there.
I'm sure.
I would do that out of a sense of duty. But it's never. I think for folks that have kind of come to that conclusion on their own, I'm sure for some folks there's a longing for it and missing it. That fortunately for me was something that I never missed. I've got plenty of friends these days who still do drink from time to time. They will point out that young kids also don't care about that in the morning. So those mornings can turn around pretty quick on you. But it's a courageous thing to have done, Maggie, and not an easy thing to do. So congratulations to you. Really, really proud.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good for you.
Yeah, I can't believe it's been 4 years, but I think it's important to eliminate variables in what's affecting how you feel. So on that topic, what are your hopes for the stigma in our country and in the greater world, the mental health stigma?
Yeah, Maggie, look, I think, the kind of the stigma aspect of this is unfortunately somewhat circular, right? It's people don't talk about it, so there's a stigma to it, so people don't talk about it. And one of the things that I've tried to do, whether I was in public office or otherwise, was to try to, one, let people know it's okay to talk about it, and two, to get people talking about it proactively, right? And I think, Maggie, a younger generation is far better about this than older ones, right? I think my generation is somewhat uneasy about it, but I think a younger generation, I mean, you will hear Gen Zers particularly say, oh yeah, my therapist says X, Y, and Z. When was the last time you heard our parents ever talk about their therapist? Right?
No, they're not talking about it,
right?
yeah.
Like Irish folks have much more. But, it wasn't something that you ever acknowledged was even a need. It was just, suck it up and deal. And, everybody needs to talk to somebody about something at some point, right? So I think my hope on this, and when I would give speeches on it or be in public forums on it, I would always say, raise your hand if you've had a family member affected by cancer. Every hand goes up. Raise your hand if you had a family member affected by mental illness. Half the hands go up. Obviously, statistically, every hand should go up, right?
Right.
It affects about 20% of the American population. That's essentially one in every family, and certainly one in every extended family. Everybody's hand should go up. It's either they don't necessarily feel like they should lift it, or they don't know that there's an extended family member or a family member dealing with it, so they don't. I think we'll get to success when no one feels anything but community when you raise your hand about cancer, because we're all in this, right? We all know what it's like. We all have had a family member struggling with it, and it's a terrible thing. Let's make sure we feel the same way about mental health and support people as they're going through it and their families. Look, it's not. People get sick. People have challenges. That's okay. That's human. Mm-hmm. Let's help support them through it.
State Representative Kyle J. Mullins of the 112th District sponsors today's podcast with Congressman Joseph Kennedy III. Yeah, especially in Irish families, large Irish families, as we both have, anxiety and depression run very deep. And yeah, my hope is that like the younger generations of our family don't feel as shy to like come forward and ask for help. And I'm sure you feel the same way.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And it will take some work to get there. I do think that I think that that narrative is changing. But it takes high-profile folks with followers like you have, to have the courage to stand up and say, hey, this is my story, this is my reality. And it then creates a permission structure for other people to do it too, right? Hey, if they're doing it, then I can. If, celebrities are doing it. One of the moments I recall when I was in office, we did I hosted a big town hall type event in Boston with high-profile sports figures, so members of the Patriots, the Celtics, the Bruins, and Shimiko Holtzclaw from WNBA, talking about mental health for athletes, because everybody sits there and goes, I could never hit a free throw for my life, but it's not supposed to be physically hard to do, right? Particularly for a professional basketball player. It's not a question of can you actually physically hit the shot. Of course they can. It's in the midst of that pressure in that environment, are you able to kind of focus on that and hit it? A 4-foot putt for a professional golfer, not a hard thing to do. They've done it plenty of times. If the U.S. Open is on the line, it becomes an awful lot harder. But people understand that you have to be mentally tough and resilient to do that. What they also kind of neglect is, hey, if it's a professional basketball player, that kid might be 20 years old, take a game-winning shot, lose, and then have like the narrative for the entire next day being how terrible they are. And
Right.
they're away from home and away from their family for, half the year. Like, that's a terrible place to put a young
Right.
person in. So if they're dealing with it and they have to seek, counseling or therapy, or and talk to somebody, a coach, to make sure that they're in the right mindset to be able to go out and succeed the next day. If they're doing it, it's okay for you to do it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So and they're not shy about it, right? They're of course, if you went through, look, I played high school sports. I played lacrosse in college too. Nowhere near a professional level of anything. I was a goalie. Like, if you lose, it's because somebody scored against you, right? Too many people did. It feels terrible, right? To some extent, you feel responsible. If you're going to be good at it, you have to get over that and be ready for the next one. That is as much a mental aspect to that component as there is a physical one. Life is, the non-sporting life is the same. And so how do you help coach people through it? People need help, and we shouldn't be shy about being willing to share it.
Yeah, my blog, my .com blog, is a lot of my experience through my mental illness, and I couldn't believe how accepting people were of that, because I put it out there for myself, but sharing it and then getting thousands of views was really, it was life changing for me. And yeah, I couldn't believe how accepting people were of my content on like TikTok and Instagram, talking about mental illness. You're right, the younger generation talks about it all the time.
Yeah, and I think we'll be better off for it. Certainly, society will be better off for it if we can kind of make this a more normal conversation. And by the way, increase the number of mental health professionals in a space such that people can feel like they can get access to treatment. That means, the public policy structures out there that support that are going to have to change, and they are underinvested in the moment. They need to change. That demand needs to be there to force that change. So, I think all of this will come, but it's going to be, unfortunately, a bit. The more and more we can push the acceptance of it, the more rapid that change will come.
Yeah, thank you for talking about the policy regarding it. How long do you think it might take for these changes to come? If you just had to give a rough estimate.
Maggie, I would hate to put a year on it. We obviously have seen healthcare policy face a big step backward with the recent passage of a billing through government that will take healthcare away and healthcare access away from over 10 million people, 12 million to 16 or 17 million, depending on the estimate you look at, which will have a devastating impact to access to mental health care for those folks. Part of the problem with mental health care is the system is underinvested in, right? So there's not enough practitioners, which means people can't get appointments. Many of those practitioners won't take insurance because they don't have to. And they got loans, they got mortgages, they got families, so if they don't have to take insurance, they won't take it, the bureaucratic costs, et cetera. But if they don't take it, it means you got to pay out of pocket. So it's there if you're willing to pay out of pocket. If you need to get insurance, then you got to go to a provider that the insurance is willing to cover. Then there's also going to be a waiting list, which is also crazy because we don't tell folks that have stage 3 cancer. Wait till it gets stage 4 and then seek treatment. We rush you in the moment you get diagnosed. We don't do that for mental health care.
Right.
And so, but you can't just grow mental behavioral health practitioners on trees. It's not like you can, snap your fingers and create more doctors. Like, these are folks that need years and years and years of training. So how do we incentivize that 18-year-old now who thinks they want to go become pre-med, and once they're doing their going through their medical training, decides to become a mental behavioral health professional rather than going off to become some other type of doctor, right? Because that is a choice that they could make. How do we create those incentives to increase licensed clinical social workers, right? How do we do this across a system-wide piece? A big part of that, candidly, it's just government funding. Are we willing to pay practitioners in the space the money that they deserve in order to do it? And at the moment, the answer is no. And you hear plenty of my former colleagues say we can't afford it. My point back to them was always, we already pay for it. You just pay for it differently, right? You pay for it because people are dropping out of school because they can't get the treatment that they need, so they're acting out in school, they get expelled or whatever else, your school dropouts. And then, by the way, you're dealing with that cost for the rest of that individual's life. You're seeing it in incarceration rates, right? Because, again, some of that same trajectory. You're seeing it through lost days of work. You're seeing it through the burden that is put on parents for caring for a child that isn't getting access to the health care that they need, the mental health treatment that they need, because they can't find a pediatric practitioner, right? You're seeing it in increased costs in emergency rooms because emergency rooms across the United States are boarding mental health patients because they don't have beds to put them in, which is increasing stress on ER docs and ER systems and healthcare writ large because we're not willing to invest in those systems. So we're already paying for it. It's just hidden and we call it something else.
Right.
But it means that some folks can say, oh, well, we can't afford it. Well, we're already paying for it.
Right. Yeah. What is next for Joe Kennedy?
I think what's next for me at the moment is right what we're doing, which is great. I have the chance to be, home and be a dad, and I run a renewable energy nonprofit that my dad started 45 years ago. There's very few other folks out there doing what we do and try to make the grid better and transmit electricity and build electricity and harvest electricity through battery storage programs and solar projects and microgrids and transmission lines. While helping low-income families, we've given away over $600 million back to low-income families over the course of our history. We'll keep doing that. I got now a project that is investing in local community organizers across the country. There's obviously a big need in trying to build that and build community, invest in community as we're doing this. So between those things and a bunch of other projects and boards and such, I'm plenty busy. And I got a puppy that's eager to get you out of bed at 5:15 in the morning. That's a lot. That's enough.
I love following your cousin Patrick and the work he does with mental health. So thank you to the Kennedy family as a whole for your work with it. This has been really great. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for the invitation. It's great to see you and look forward to doing it again sometime.